Hey y'all, I'm here today with a layout I created using Momenta products. And this is a kind of long one, but the project took me a long time, but it fits a ton of photos on a page, so I feel like it's a good process to show. So I'm doing a little Scrappy Christmas in July, and I'm scrapping these photos from Christmas morning. And I wanted to use these wreath dies from Momenta. And so what I'm doing now is I'm taking all of my photos and I'm separating them into piles, and my idea is to create pockets to put these photos in. So I'm dividing my photos into 4 categories, and I'm going to make 4 separate pockets. So there are my 4 categories, and now I'm going to do a little bit of mixed media. So I take some gesso and I scrape it on my page in a rectangle, and then I use my fingers to soften up the edges so that we don't have as many stroke marks. Kind of just soften it up in little circular motions. And I think I'm going to use this pattern paper with the wreaths, but just ignore that because I end up not using that. Except I do use that gorgeous hunter green vellum. I'm super into hunter green now because I was super into hunter green in 1997, and well, we're come back around here. So I cut my wreaths with the fun foam, and it cuts really beautifully. Oh no, let's go back, we'll get there, but now we're going to talk more about mixed media. So I get on my Ranger texture paste and I do these evergreen boughs down the back of the gesso that I just put on the page, and you won't watch all of it, we'll move to the end of the page here. So I'm just like making it nice and textury, is that a word, through the stencil all the way down, up and down the gessoed area. And so next we're going to work on the pockets again. So I take the wreaths and I'm cutting them out of white fun foam and green fun foam, and I'm backing them with hunter green vellum so you can kind of see through it. And so I'm just sticking the fun foam sticky side down to the vellum, and then the one white one I'm going to leave the title in. So I had been clipping the title out. One says hello, one says merry and bright. But in the one, I decided that could be my title. Plus I only have 3 major photos that I want to focus on the page. So that was just really worked out perfectly. So next, what are we doing here? We're going to work on some more mixed media. So my texture paste dried. I'm going to bust out my watercolors, and I'm going to pick a dark green color, and what I'm looking to do is to create giant splatters. So I get a bigger brush than I normally use, and I just saturate it with color and water, and I hold it high above the page, and I just squeeze with my finger, and it drops giant drops all over the page. And I want the color to stay saturated, so I'm not going to roll over it with paper towels. I'm going to let it dry, and it's going to take a while to dry like that, but I really want that hunter green color mimicked in the vellum that I'm using. So yeah, that's what I do, and I refill the color on my brush a few different times. And also you'll see that I do not keep a mug of water on my desk because I don't trust myself and I will inevitably spill it or drop things in it. So I just brought that over for this project, and I will remove it from my desk afterwards. So there we have it. I've created a ton of large splatters. I'm going to set them aside to dry as is so that I don't ruin the level of color that I have in there. So back to the pockets while that dries, and I'm still backing my wreaths with vellum. Sorry, not much to say about this here. And there we have our little pockets. I'm making the 4th one. That's with the smaller hello die. And you can just see the little surgery I do on it here. I wiggle out all the bits, and I keep the bits, and you'll see later I use them. And there, I just clip out hello, and it's done. Easy as pie. I'm gonna adhere that to the vellum as well. And then I'm gonna work on my mixed media because I'm not done. I have to add more colors. Oh, just kidding. I'm gonna work on my photos. So this is how I want it to lay out above the mixed media. And so I get my groups of photos and I decide which pockets I want everything in. So I think that's how I'm gonna do it. And then I see the photo of my little guy that I want in the pocket, and he has these hilarious house shoes on, and I know that I can't cut that off. I have to keep that part. So I switched the picture of my husband to the smaller pocket so I can edit down, crop down his photos so I can keep my son's crazy house shoes in that photo. So I'm not going to show the whole process here, but what I do is I'm measuring the pocket to ensure that the photos will sit inside of it, and I'm backing all of the photos on white cardstock. And what I'm going to do is add a tab so that you can easily pull them out of the pocket to view them. So I've measured it to the size that will fit, and a little bit of the top of the card will stick out of the circle. And then I'm cutting down my photo to fit on that size of the cardstock. So what I do is I cut the same number of photos. I cut that number of cardstock on the same size for the 2 smaller circles and for the 2 larger circles. And then I just crop down all the photos to fit within that guidance and regroup them behind the circle pockets that I want them to be in. So you can see here, I'm doing one of the larger photos, and I kept those behind the larger circles taller so that they will peek out at the top, and I can add the tabs and they can easily be pulled out. So, you know, it's kind of coming together. You can kind of see where I'm going with it. And then it's time to add more mixed media. So now I get out my shimmers. And first I'm going to use this aqua hues called Leaping Lizard. And it's like a true green. Almost a little bit of a lime, but mostly just like a Kelly green. And I'm going to do small splatters. So I just do small splatters all the way around, and that's completely, the other large drops, the hunter green drops I did, are completely dry. And so I'm going to add in these green drops, and then I'm going to pick up a Shimmers, Original Shimmers paint in the color Celery, which is this like bronzy brown sparkly color that's really pretty. So it adds some more sparkle to the page. So I have my rustic leaves, boughs, and I have my sparkle. You know me. Gotta have that rustic sparkle. And then we're gonna let it dry. Oh, I slowed it down so you can see the overall effect of the large splatters with the small splatters. I'm really liking it. And most of that will be covered up with the pockets. So now I'm busting out my ribbon stash, and I'm pulling out all the ribbons that I think I might use to make the tabs on my photos. So what I decide is that I only want to use white, silver, and green ribbons. So I remove the gold ribbons I had pulled out. And then, I mean, these have been in my stash forever. A lot of those are from the dollar store, the Dollar Tree, I think. And so I just am cutting tiny tabs. And what I'll do is adhere them onto the top of the photo or the cardstock with my stapler. Super simple. Again, it has like a rusty, messy look to it. I'm not a perfectionist, but sometimes I staple once, sometimes I do a crisscross staple. I like the variety, and then sometimes it just needs the second staple to ensure that it holds. So I tab up all of my photos, and I try to stack them one on top of another to make sure that the tabs look good together and I'm not duplicating a tab within one pocket. And then I journaled on a lot of the cardstock. So that was what I was doing there. So now I'm going to build my page. And I am laying out the circles with the cards inside of them, the photo cards. And then I'm just making sure I leave room for a pocket. So I'm using adhesive on 3 sides of the photo and leaving empty space to slide the photos in. And that just creates a pocket. And it worked really well. I think it will hold up well because some of the adhesive around the fun foam is still sticking to the mixed media, as well as all of that tape that I'm sticking on the 3 sides of the photo pocket. So I have my photos. You can see they're all the little tabbies are in the pockets there. And it's almost time to start embellishing. And I like that fun foam. It's really flexible, and I don't think that it's gonna tear. I think that it's gonna hold up really well when you're moving it around and pulling photos in and out. Oh, sorry, I had to crop down all of my photos that I'm showing on the outsides of the pages and keeping a whiteboard around those. And then that final photo is a picture of what Santa brought. So that's gonna go at the bottom, and I'm gonna add a pattern paper down there. And there's the pattern paper. It has little trees, Christmas trees on it. So I'm gonna rip off the entire bottom bit, maybe like 3/4 to an inch. And I really love how it showed the white core of the paper because it just ties in with the white up there of my mixed media. And then I'm gonna adhere down the paper and trying to keep it at 12 by 12. And then of course I cut off the excess because I'm not gonna use that whole paper. Just sit back a tiny inch at the bottom. And then I'm also gonna add a little bit at the top. But I'm not gonna really rip a giant chunk off. I'm just gonna more really rough up the edge so that I can pull it up with my fingers and just create a lot of texture. A big ruffle across the top, and it'll show the pattern paper just a tiny bit. And to be honest, this page might be a little bit taller than 12 inches, but it will fit in a page protector, and that's all that matters. So I'm roughing up the edges there, creating a ton more texture just to kind of mimic the texture that is within the mixed media, and same on the top. So now you can see what I used the inside leftover foam bits for. I'm gonna pop up that photo at the bottom of the Santa haul. Now I'm going to pull out these mixed media stickers from Momenta, and I use that. So now the title says Merry and Bright Holiday Wishes, because hopefully the boys got their holiday wishes on Christmas morning. And then I use the ampersand, and I pull out a bunch of others, and I find these silver word stickers that are silver sparkle, so they go perfectly with some of the tabs that I've used there, and that says blessed. So I use that to fill in the empty space around Lachlan's photo on the larger circle. And then I pull off some of the hearts, and I use 3 of those, and you can see 1, 2, and 3 down at the bottom. And what does that create? A beautiful visual triangle. Yes, so nice. And then I pull out these I think the theme is family, of these little cardstock words, and I love them. So I stick a few around the page or on the photos, and then 1 down there on the bottom, again with the triangle. And I add a red puffy sticker, red puffy heart down there too. So now I'm gonna just pull out the photos so that you can see each one behind, and it's just a fun interactive element and a good way to get multiple photos on a page. Some of the photos weren't the best because it's hard to get good Christmas morning pictures, but I like them. Their little smiles coming down the stairs and everything are super cute, so I wanted to keep them forever, but I just tucked them in those pockets and I have them to look at later. So I love how this turned out. Rustic sparkle all the way. So pop over to the Momenta store and see what other good Christmas in July items they have. Thank y'all for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe. Bye.